All this week, France 24's reporters are visiting French borders to see what the situation is like. And today, Chris Moore is in the north at Calais at the crossing to the United Kingdom. Chris, to say the least, it seems like it's a pretty complicated crossing where you are at the moment.
That's right. You were talking there about France and the rest of the European Union beginning to tentatively open up its internal and external borders here on the outer limits of the Schengen zone, a perennially problematic border that on the English Channel next to the United Kingdom just got a little bit more complicated. The reason being that since the start of this week, anybody travelling in either direction across that border from France to the UK will have to go through 14 days of quarantine at home or in a state-provided facility. Not sure on either side of the channel exactly how that's going to be policed. However, there's a lot of debate over that. Now, at the beginning of this week, or I should say on Sunday night, a bit of a last-minute rush of Brits looking to get back to their island. As you can see behind me now, things in the port of Calais a lot quieter as they have been since the start of the COVID crisis. Ferries dealing largely just with lorry traffic, taking vital supplies to the United Kingdom. Up the coast at Eurotunnel, passenger numbers down about 90% and just one Eurostar a day running in either direction between London and Paris. And that's something which is a cause of frustration for a lot of businesses here in northern France and further afield, who I think have been hoping things would have been moving in the other direction by this stage.
Indeed, Chris, things do seem to change, though, very quickly in some ways, and definitely from one day to the next. Overall, have we an idea of how long the restrictions may remain in place?
Well, it's a good question. The impetus for this quarantine measure came very much from the United Kingdom, but it hasn't gone unilaterally down well there. A lot of businesses questioning the utility of it. A lot of people saying, why was it done now rather than back at the height of the pandemic in Europe back in March, when thousands of travellers were still travelling unimpeded into the United Kingdom. Boris Johnson himself, the UK Prime Minister, has said it will be up for review every 3 weeks, intimating that he himself doesn't want to see it lasting that long. Another factor to take into consideration is the fact that the pandemic on either side of the channel actually at slightly different stages. Infection rates, death rates, etc. a lot lower on this side of the channel right now. And in a way, you could say perhaps the impetus in terms of quarantine more logically would come from here. In terms of people here in the port of Calais in the wider northern France region, well, the days of the Great British booze cruise back in the 80s and 90s, when British visitors would come and stock up in local supermarkets, they've been tailing off. But trade from the United Kingdom still very important. And this border has been a perennial source of problems between the two countries. First of all, the migration issue in the wake of the crisis of 2015, the infamous jungle camp, etc. And then, if anybody can remember it, of course, the ongoing issue of Brexit and how exactly this border is going to operate in the future.
OK, Chris, we'll have to leave it there, but thanks indeed for that, Chris Moore, there at the Franco-British border.